Mr. Fortenberry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, welcome. Nice to see you again. First of all, let me thank you for coming to Nebraska, speaking to the Rural Futures Conference. I thought you did an outstanding job of laying down a vision for agriculture, retelling the great American agricultural story, and being overall a very good ambassador for our message. I really was grateful for your attendance there. I have 3 points I'd like to make with you. The first one being, I very much appreciated what you began with, talking about how 40,000 new farmers and disadvantaged farmers will come into our system, our agricultural family, through the efforts of this Farm Bill. I worked on some components of that. But I do want to return to the point that Mr. Bishop raised earlier regarding payment limitations and closing loopholes. In the Farm Bill, I had offered an amendment on the House side that put stricter payment limitations in place and helped what we thought was going to help you with actively engaged rules. The Senate did the same thing. The Conference Committee saw fit to take that out, and what I believe to be a distortion of the process. I very vehemently disagreed with that. I thought this was a good agricultural reform measure. It passed on a bipartisan basis, but we lost. The residue of what is left, though, again, gives you the authority to define actively engaged. There is a General Accounting Office, Accountability Office report out. A farm in the Midwest received $400,000 of payments in 2012, organized as a general partnership with 6 corporations and 11 individual members, 2 of whom apparently lived in South Florida and one was 88 years old. Now, this type of thing gives a black eye to agriculture overall. When we are these exotic financial arrangements, these legal loopholes that are leveraged, when we are in a time of declining budgets and the need to be very, very aware of the impact that our programs have, not only in terms of budgets but in terms of perception, we have to do a very robust job here of thoroughly going through this process and ensuring that, again, deserving farmers who are a part of the agriculture community, not simply passive investors, are receiving payments. I'm worried because 10% of farmers receive 70% of the payments. And when you have a situation like that, we and you may be inadvertently underwriting the concentration of land into fewer and fewer hands and undermining what we're doing on the other side of the department, which is so important, of trying to bring new people into agriculture. So I'm very concerned about this, and I'd like to hear your response. The second issue is regarding adverse wage rates. This might be a little bit out of your purview, but in Nebraska it is $13.41. I have 2 small farmers who came into the office for trying to use the H-2A program, doing this legally. They're getting pushed out of the market because this wage rate is so bizarrely high where we are. It's $12.22 in Iowa, $10.89 in Colorado, $11 in California. Now, the Department of Labor, you apparently shopped this out to the Department of Labor, but we've got a peculiar grouping of states here that is driving up this wage rate and potentially, again, pushing small farmers who are trying to be entrepreneurial and using, again, diverse and traditional means of farming production that we're encouraging in the rest of the bill. They're being pushed out of these marketplaces. The third issue is regarding the drought mitigation. Very important to us in Nebraska. Will this be the year where we see, through the Office of the Chief Economist, competitive federal funding for drought mitigation research?
Well, first of all, Congressman, I made a mistake in responding to Congressman Bishop's question. I really should have had you respond to him about actively engaged. I mean, honestly, I think that is the nub. I think Congress has given us, as I said, a very narrow range of options to look at because of the fairly broad definition of family farming operation. Fair enough. You have raised concerns about situations where the rules have been stretched and creatively utilized, and I think our task is to take a look at what makes sense and what doesn't in the real world, and basically provide credibility and legitimacy to whatever support system we have. This support system is important for farmers, as you know, and we can talk about what percent get what percent, but I think it's important for all of us to explain to our friends in urban and suburban America that support systems are designed to reduce the risk of farming. Farming is an extraordinarily difficult and risky business from a financial perspective because of you have no impact on Mother Nature, and you have no impact on some foreign country doing something that creates market havoc. And we enjoy food security in this country and an affordability of food in part because we have reduced the risk and we keep people in the farming business. So we obviously want a program that people believe in. So we will work very hard to try to do the right thing in this area of actively engaged.
All of this is said in the spirit of being a very strong supporter of farm support payment system to mitigate the ups and downs, the vagaries in the market, to be able to give farmers control that they used to not have. But when you have gotten to a size where you can potentially graduate from that need of public support, you're working around it, it's a concern.
I'm not disagreeing. Should I respond to the other 2 points?
Just briefly, if you could just respond before we go to Mr. Yoder.
My response, and it's an honest one, to the adverse wage rate issue is to fix the system, and that would help. I think comprehensive immigration reform and the new opportunities for USDA to be engaged in that process and establishing wage levels would be the solution for the concerns that you've raised in the long term. And on drought mitigation, we are supporting the drought mitigation folks in Nebraska that do good work in terms of the monitor. We will continue to focus on ways in which we can provide additional resources. We just announced a $30 million competitive grant program on water that is available to folks. So we're going to continue to be very much engaged in this space.
Mr. Yoder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr.